let's talk about SmackDown. We're right in the middle of the JBL world title reign. What do you think as JBL as champion? Were you supportive of the choice?
Yeah, because John had a great ability to piss people off, and he was very easy to dislike, and he can really ruffle feathers when he's got his mind or his creativity set on it. So the thing about John, being so insulting, talking down to people, being a bully. I'm bigger than you, I'm tougher than you, I'm smarter than you, I'm more handsome than you, all the things that he said and that he represented was so easy to dislike as a human being. Basic social skills would not want you to endear yourself to this guy. So he pulled it off perfectly. So I thought he was a really good heel. And here's the thing about, for being as big as he was, because John was an athlete at Abilene Christian, as a honored offensive lineman, right tackle I think he played. John had athletic ability. He wasn't just a big guy with a big ass and 3 left feet. He had athletic ability to move around, and so he could feed a comeback. My point. Heels that can't feed a comeback are not great heels. They can't be. And what a great comeback is very subjective. Let's leave it that let's say that as well. So yeah, I thought John did a good job, Conrad, and it was what I think you look for more often than not in a heel. Well read, could promo well, could do the media stuff well, had a great presence. The coat and tie, the suit and tie was always a nice touch. So that was a good booking in my eyes for John to have that role.
Explain briefly for some of our listeners who may not know, because I know what you mean when you say feed a comeback. Some of our listeners may not know exactly what that means. Explain that like you're talking to a third grader for a minute here.
All right. Well, feeding a comeback is when the heel has built his heat. He has got his angst rolling. He's got people on the edge of their seat. He's punishing, or she, the baby face is punishing or getting punished by the heel in a variety of ways. Where it could be a hold, that'd be rare, but maybe a hold or a big bump they took or something. So when it's time for the battered, bruised baby face to make his or her quote unquote comeback, where they are resurrected, where they come out of the ashes and they rise from the dead, then when that moment, that switch is flipped, and now the baby face goes from being on the defensive, transitioning into being on the offensive. To make that work, the villain, the protagonist, has got to fly around a little bit. So he's got to feed the comeback. So whether it's taking drop kicks, what I'm saying is that the villain has got to be able to take a succession of flat back bumps and respond and get back up vertical so he can take another one. So feeding multiple spots on a comeback is imperative more often than not to be a successful villain. And John, even as big as he was, did a nice job of feeding comebacks, taking big flat back bumps and being able to get back up, do a seat roll or whatever it is, and get back up and take another bump. So that's what that, I hope that clarifies a little bit.
No, absolutely. Up and down, up and down.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the gimmick. This gimmick does feel a little bit like a throwback of sorts. And it also feels like, to me, as someone who doesn't really know Vince McMahon outside of a couple of meetings, that this is Vince McMahon's pet project. Like Vince would have eaten this character up. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. I think Vince could identify with a big, powerful, well-educated, moneyed, tough guy. And that's what Vince envisioned himself as in real life. So it's not far-fetched for his creativity to create that character and manifest itself in the form of, this case, JBL. A very good booking. Vince felt the character, so you get a better than fair shake on the creative. And JBL was the character. He didn't have to play a role. He didn't have to learn how to be John Layfield did not have to learn how to be JBL. He came by it naturally. And Vince could see that and sense that. So the stars aligned. And sometimes that happens. And it did there. And the benefit was that we got, we had a good run. John had a good run and made a whole lot more money positioned on the top of the card than he would have been anyplace else. So I think JBL was a great overachiever, quite frankly, in some ways. I'm not trying to hurt John's feelings. He's a friend of mine, but, I don't think anybody ever expected him to do as well as he did. So, but he learned and figured out, I can be me and make this son of a bitch work. And he did.
Let's get to some news and notes. Wade Keller would report that during a tag match in Syracuse, New York, Charlie Haas and Kenzo Suzuki would tag out. And that means Hardcore Holly's in there with Rene Dupree. And fairly quickly, Holly puts Rene Dupree in a front face lock. That's different from a traditional wrestling front face lock, meaning it was real. Throws him down, gets on top, nails him one legitimate punch after another, eventually gets a real stiff chair shot his way, then gets the chair thrown at his head and neck. Eventually, Dupree's eyes swell shut. His face and body are bruising up all over the place. Holly's kicking him 3 or 4 times in the face and every which way. They go to the finish. Dupree sprints to the back. Holly chases after him. And allegedly, Wade asked one of the WWE superstars about the incident and was told, quote, Dupree has an attitude and he's a dumb shit. That's a bad combination around Bob. So I guess the idea is these guys had been traveling buddies not too terribly long before. There was some incident that occurred. Holly was flying out of town before Dupree. Dupree needed a ride to the airport the next day. So Holly offers his rental car to Dupree. Allegedly, Dupree was supposed to turn the car in when he gets to the airport, and he got a ticket and he didn't pay it and supposedly just threw it away. Of course, Holly gets the blame. It affects his insurance. It becomes a headache. Dupree won't set straight what really happened. And well, this is the result of that. I'm sure you were involved in this in some way. What did you hear? When did you hear? What do you remember about this?
Don't remember a lot. It's so that long ago. I remember, you don't lie to Bob Holly. And, Bob's not going to let things go that he believes is, in his view, a detriment to the business. And that is the boys having each other's back. Renee, on that occasion, did not have Bob Holly's back. And then when he wouldn't fess up to it, own up to it, as the story goes, it became martial law. You never want, as an administrator, to endorse martial law in your locker room. But there sometimes are occasions where you have to reluctantly look the other way for a few seconds. And that was one of those situations where, I wasn't that was the house show. Those guys that Bob was disciplining Renee, but you don't endorse it.
Right.
You don't say, well, beat your teammate up. You don't endorse it, but there's some old school principles that some guys brought with them from the beginnings of their career and through the territories. And Bob Holly did that. He's an old school guy. He's old school today. I would suggest if you cross him today and lie to him or screw his life, he'll try to whip your ass, and more than likely he will be successful. So that's kind of where that was, but I don't remember we might've done a fine. I'm not sure.
The word is from Wade Keller that Holly was fined $10,000 and told that he would be fired if it were not for his tenure with the company. And Bob, for better or worse, developed a reputation, at least online, of being a bully backstage. But others are saying to Wade, no, Dupree had developed, the label stooge because allegedly he's tattling on a lot of the locker room to management, and management now doesn't trust him and sees him as a suck up, and neither do the boys. A lot to unpack here. Would you classify Bob as a bully?
A borderline. He's a tough guy. Did he go around knocking your glasses off or flipping over your table like in the lunchroom, your tray? No. But but he could pick out a liar amongst a million people, and he's just old school. Like I said, an old school guy. I can't defend what he's doing, but he was never disrespectful to me 1 second.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.